speaking of what's coming up this summer, we switch it to another striker of the Mexican national team, Henry Martin. Borrado is what it says. Erased is what is expected now. A certain report suggesting that Javier Aguirre might not consider Henry Martin for the Copa Oro this coming summer. This coming next month, pretty much here for Martin and company. But for now, he has to focus on the Liga MX quarterfinals, which we will get to in just a second. Is this justified to maybe consider not taking him, Jose?
No, it's not. As a manager, especially when we're talking about Mexico, a national team that lacks quality, you have to leave the doors open for everyone. For everyone. How do we measure a number 9? Usually by the goals they score. Well, in the case of Henry Martin, more than 100 goals with Club America, 3 championships with Javier Aguirre as a manager of the Mexican national team when they were against the backs against Honduras. Henry Martin, coming off the bench, he scored a brace. But these 2 games against Pachuca, and Herc knows this because he played the position, Chris, Henry Martin offered a clinic on how a number 9 should move on a soccer pitch. First, the ability that he has to pin the center backs. Then, when he drops back to the midfield, he creates space for his teammates. The ability that he has to hold the ball so the midfielders can move forward. The way he pauses the game, and he always looks for the right player. When we talk about Mexico, Chris, Raúl Alonso Jiménez, who we just saw in the highlights, he's 34 years old. He's going to be 35 years old next summer. Then you have Santi Jiménez, great player at a club level. With the Mexican national team, after that goal he scored against Panama in the final of the Gold Cup, when has he been? He has been given multiple opportunities, and he hasn't shined. In the CONCACAF Nation League, it was all about Raúl Alonso Jiménez. When you don't have that much depth, how can you erase Henry Martin, a guy who has proved himself game after game?
However, he gets injured a lot, Herc.
Well,
that's something that's hard to ignore.
Well, he's been injured this season. He has been injured before. He's going to be 33 years old this year. The World Cup is next summer. He's a player that right now hasn't been playing, has come back into the fold. While he has been very productive and very important for Club America, he's not scored goals. And you've got 2 guys, one in particular, in Raúl Alonso Jiménez, who's scoring goals at the club level, or was, it's picked up again, and has scored goals for Mexico countless times. And you have another in Santi Jiménez, who maybe hasn't scored that many goals for the Mexican national team, but has such a high ceiling and is operating right now at such a high level where he plays, Milan, in the Serie A, that you would easily think those 2 players are above Henry Martin, who, by the way, out of these pool of 9s that I just mentioned, and out of any pool of 9s that you can right now pick in the Mexican national team, is the only 9 who scored a goal in the World Cup. But to tell me that he can't be one of 3 center forwards, I ask myself what's going on. Because Henry Martin was deemed surplus at Copa America. They wanted to clear the road for Santi Jiménez. He didn't go to Copa America. Henry Martin, when Aguirre came into the fold, was deemed surplus by Aguirre. And he sent him home not once, but twice. And didn't play him until he absolutely needed him. And guess what? Henry Martin scores against Honduras. So somewhere along the lines, something happened. Because if you're telling me he's not good enough to be one of the top 3 forwards for the Mexican national team, who clearly has a problem in that field, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. And with Javier Aguirre, I don't think it matters what the problem is. The simple fact that there is a problem, he gone.
It seems like this is the pattern that we've seen with Henry Martin, right? He's good. He has the talent to be a starter, or at the very least use him when you most need him in very high-pressure game situations, Jose. But again, it's why is Henry Martin being left on the bench? Why is he not starting these games? Why is so-and-so in front of him specifically? It's been named a lot in the same sentences as Santiago Jiménez. why does this keep happening with Henry Martin and there is no clear-cut explanation, no matter who's been manager of the Mexican national team?
I think he's being disrespected. I think that's the reality
I think so
of it.
too. It's crazy that it keeps happening.
Right. In Copa America, I understand if you tell me, okay, we're going to bring Santi Jimenez instead of Henry Martin, but can you really make an argument for Memote Martinez before Henry Martin? Santi Jimenez was given the chance in Copa America. He didn't score once. Henry Martin against Honduras, 2 goals. Why is he upset? Because in the first match against Honduras, he wasn't even in the bench. So after the second game against Honduras, when he scored a brace, he was upset and he spoke to Javier Aguirre. He was looking for an explanation. And there is something we know about Javier Aguirre. He doesn't like those type of players. But honestly, I understand Henry Martin. As a player, every time you get a chance, you score, you leave everything on the field, and then the coach doesn't give you enough opportunities. You have the right to ask the coach, why? Why are you're not valuing the things I do on the pitch?
Right.
So honestly, he's been disrespected, bottom line.
Well, get one thing straight, excuse me. There is no coach who goes against his own interest. If Javier Aguirre thought he was instrumental to the team and thought he desperately needed him, thought he had to be the 9 because it would help him in his cause for his job, he would be on the team. Not only on the team, but he would be playing. And that's not the case. So you have to ask.
But you're saying something happened that we don't
Well, he just
know
told you what
about.
happened. He just told you what happened. He questioned him. And Javier Aguirre doesn't like to be
So
questioned.
this isn't personal.
Well, no, it's gone personal. He doesn't like to be questioned. I don't think you're good enough to question me because if you question, I don't need you, so you're done. You're out.
But you're saying that if this is a player that he really needs and is instrumental to his success,
He doesn't feel
then he
it's
would call him up. Because
But the
of what he's
evidence
saying on the
says
field,
otherwise.
or because it's something
no, I
personal?
don't think it says otherwise because this is Honduras. I don't think it says otherwise because we just saw him in the Nations League and Raúl Jiménez was the man. I don't think it's otherwise because obviously they see more future, more Vasily than Santi Jimenez. So if you think this is going to be the third option, okay, second off the bench for you, and he's the one that's causing problems, to me it's not a problem. I agree with Jose. You'd want an answer, and it's dialogue, communication is healthy in any relationship, especially in this type of a dynamic. But Javier Aguirre is an old school coach.
Sure.
He felt he was questioned in a manner he didn't like. He's gone. And this isn't the only player we've seen this from. We've seen this not only from Javier Aguirre, but people inside the Mexican national team with Chucky Lozano. We've seen it with, Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela retaliated. This is a tell as old as time when it comes to the Mexican national team. And Javier Aguirre, he's been there, done that. This is his third go-around.
But there is a deeper problem to me. If you are Javier Aguirre, do you really think you have the luxury to say, Henry Martin, you are banned from the Mexican national team? So many coaches do that because they have options.
Yeah, but isn't
in the
that a
case
ban?
of Mexico, they don't have that many
But this
good
is not
players.
this is not a ban. Listen, I disagree with it, but this is Javier saying, okay.
Because it's personal.
You can go. I don't think it's personal. I don't think it's personal, but because it's not personal.
Sounds like
because if
it.
he thought, no, because if he thought he could help him win,
If he didn't like
he
something,
wouldn't
then
go
he was-
against it.
But you're saying both arguments, though. You're saying it's
No, I'm not.
personal, and then that he's also not liking what he's seeing on the field.
I am telling you that he doesn't like what he sees on the field enough for him to feel like he'd be questioned, and the guy's still there.